He said it quietly, almost as if he wasn't sure himself. Just for a moment. He looked at me and said, "I'm going to die." At first, it didn't stand out. Patients say things like that sometimes. Before surgery, fear, anxiety, uncertainty, but this felt different. There was something about the way he said it that didn't feel like fear. I was on call that day. A steady list, nothing particularly complex, just routine cases, moving one after another. He was next. The assessment had already been done. Observations stable, blood's normal, no major concerns, everything looked fine. I introduced myself, explained the plan, went through the usual steps, a spinal anesthetic, sedation, awake, but comfortable. He nodded. Calm. Too calm. And then, almost as an afterthought, he mentioned his wife. She had died a few months before. He said it simply. No emotion, no detail, just fact. He told me he'd been alone since, no family nearby, no one at home. And then he stopped talking. No complaint, no distress, just acceptance. And that was the moment. Something didn't feel right. Not obvious, not something you could explain. Just a feeling, the kind of feeling you push aside because everything else looks normal. We brought him into theatre, positioned him, attached monitoring, ECG, saturations, blood pressure, everything exactly where it should be, sitting hunched forward. I cleaned his back. The spinal needle passed through the layers, skin, subcutaneous tissue, ligaments, and then into the spinal canal. I injected the anesthetic, clean, uncomplicated, a good block. Sedation was started, light, controlled, just enough to make him comfortable. He drifted, but not fully asleep, breathing on his own. Everything looked normal. The surgery began. The surgeons worked steadily, quietly, methodically. The room settled into that familiar rhythm, machines humming, soft conversation, nothing out of place. And yet, that feeling didn't leave. I found myself looking at him more often, not the monitors, him, because something about it felt different. But the numbers were stable, heart rate steady, oxygen levels normal, blood pressure unchanged, everything reassuring. Time passed. The surgery progressed without issue, no complications, no instability, everything exactly as expected. And then it was over. The sedation was reduced. We waited. A response, a movement. Just for a moment. Nothing happened. And then he woke, gradually, calmly, exactly as you would expect. Talking, breathing comfortably. Everything looked normal. We transferred him to recovery, stable, comfortable, another routine case, another patient. Through surgery safely, but I remembered what he had said. I'm going to die. And what he had told me about his wife, just for a moment. I thought about it. Then I moved on, because everything had been fine until the next day. That's when I heard, quietly, in passing, he had deteriorated overnight, suddenly, unexpectedly, a pulmonary embolism, and he died. Everything had looked normal. The surgery had gone well. The recovery had been uneventful. There had been no warning, except one: I'm going to die. In medicine, we trust the numbers, the observations, the monitors, but sometimes that isn't what matters. And that was the moment I realized routine doesn't exist. It only feels like it does right up until it doesn't.